Good Sunday evening to all of you as your blood pressure starts to come down a little bit. Your Cleveland Browns have their the first coach since Marty Schottenheimer. Kevin Stefanski has his second winning season with the team in just 4 seasons. The Browns have 9 wins. They control the AFC wildcard race. Depending on tonight's game, they might have a pretty good shot at the AFC North Division crown. Your Browns, heart pumping, get a victory 20-17 over the Chicago Bears. We're brought to you by our friends over at Homage Apparel. There's a link in the description down below. Gentlemen, how the hell are we? I got the Angry Runs David Njoku, who continues to show out, gets 100 yards in today's game. So, gentlemen,
the NFL jam. Myles Garrett was sensational when it mattered most, when we needed it the most. And to quote the great Ken Carman, Super Bowl, Super Browns. I'm not going to yell it. I'm going to listen to that in the morning and listen to him yell that because that gets me pumped up every time. And I love it. 9-5, 1-0 for the week. That game should not have been won, but it was. And then it almost was lost. And luckily that ball popped right up in the air and boom. Who ended up, was that Bell that picked it off?
Yeah.
I was too excited to even pay attention to who it was. I was like, oh, he has it. Oh, it's over. Sweet. I'm feeling great, Jacob, to answer your question.
My heart rates came down. I'm about $120 right now. That was a day. That was obviously ugly as can be for 3 quarters. It was almost like if the offense was playing not to win, and then they turned it on when they had to and crossed the finish line, like miraculous. We've been on the other side of that so many times where you do just enough just to lose, like for it to go the other way. And we've seen this multiple times this season, different iterations, different quarterbacks. The bottom line is this team literally just finds a way to win. And they did it again today. They're 7-1 at home right now with 1 home game left. It's been a wild season, man. Wild.
My thing is, and this is what we named this post-game show, that the Browns continue to battle and win games. And it's just, you lose Joel Bitonio very early in that game. You could not run the football all day. Could not run the football all day. Joe Flacco, the first interception was really kind of, I think Tillman ran the wrong route. The second one, some people put on Flacco, some don't, based on him leading Tillman in there to get his head taken off, whatever you want to do. That third interception, he was late. He had a touchdown to David Njoku, and he was late on it. The DB was late and a little bit short. He should have put it a little bit more in front of him. The DB made just an absolutely miraculous play to get the third interception. But he battles back, throws for 372 yards or 74, whatever it was. I don't remember the last time a Browns quarterback threw for that. He now has 7 touchdowns in 3 games, which is more than Kenny Pickett has in 12. We should put that one out there. To the last place Pittsburgh Steelers, by the way. The last place Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's remind them of that. But Joe Flacco, man, made some big throws. That 51, and you talked about it. We was doing the live stream, Casey, over on the PSF app, and you really talked about it. He throws that ball before as Amari's making his break. Like Amari's still making that break, and he throws a seed. He avoids the defender, tiptoes all the way down the field, gets a 51-yard touchdown before another big David Njoku play, a 30-yarder from David Njoku, and then he kind of floated it up to David Njoku. Some big plays on that final drive for Njoku. I got the Browns, the Angry Runs, David Njoku on. I did want to say this: Amari Cooper and David Njoku became the first pair of Cleveland Browns to both have 100 yards receiving in a game since Jordan Cameron and Josh Gordon did it in 2013. So that's the big stat for me, man. It was just a heart thumper. I thought they caught that. I thought Darnell Mooney caught it off the deflection. They couldn't make it easy on us. They couldn't push Tyler Scott out of bounds instead of letting him just run up the field there. And that was a little bit of a bad play there from Denzel. I think Denzel was trying to prevent him from getting out of bounds, and he overcommitted to it, and I think that's what happened there. It's just my guess. That's what Casey said on the live stream. It seemed like.
Even though I hate him in the commentary, Mark Sanchez said he wouldn't have got someone down in 2-hand touch football there. He just whiffed completely and then just let him run right up the sideline. Luckily, that didn't come back to hurt us. But when Mooney had that ball, I was like, oh, my God. And then it popped up in the air. I was like, whew. Okay, thank God. But Joe Flacco, he struggled a little bit today, but then he turned it on when it mattered. What did you say before the showcase. He was what 11 of 13.
11 of 13 for 212 yards just in the fourth quarter.
That's insane. That is insane. If you had told me that was the case, I'm like, oh, cool. We're just beating on them all game, and Flacco just tearing it up. No, that wasn't what it was. The Browns were down, and he has now the 5th most passing yards in his first 3 games with a new team in NFL history. He has 939, and just ahead of him is Matthew Stafford, Kirk Cousins, Cam Newton, Drew Bledsoe. Not bad company. And then when you see what this team has fought through all these injuries, and then another offensive lineman goes down. Not this one. No, he's one of the ones that have been healthy all year, and now he's hurt. We don't know the extent of that, but it's just like, when will it end? It doesn't matter when it will end, because and Flacco throw those 3 picks. If he would have been DTR in this game, he would have thrown 4 or 5 picks, because he just would have kept in his head. Instead, Flacco's like, all right, we're still in this thing. Defense is giving me a chance. Let me go make some plays now. And then he did make all those plays. And Njoku was incredible down the stretch as well. Cooper was big today. Tillman, he started off okay. He started off getting a couple first downs and put him inside the 5 at one point, and then some bad happened. And I don't know if that pick was his fault, Flacco's fault. Either way, it was a pick, and so it didn't matter whose fault it is. It was a pick. But Flacco and company is find ways to win. I don't understand it. I don't need to understand. I just need to see it keep happening. And as long as it keeps happening, we're all going to be celebrating here in a few weeks, going to the playoffs.
It's funny that you say it like that, though. It's like, I don't give a shit how it's happening, brother. It's happening. Buckle up. This has been a fun ride. We got Casey.
Well, it was like, we did the live stream for pro sports fans, and it was kind of going back and forth. Like, man, Flacco's not playing well. He's not seeing the field well. But man, this offensive line's getting just destroyed. You're literally on your 4th and 5th string tackles and your 3rd string center. And you got the only starter on the field is Wyatt Teller. That's all you got. And you're just somehow was able to get through that. I did find out this in Stefanski's post game. Joel Bitonio tweaked something in pregame and tried to give it a go. That's the reason there was no attempt to get him back on the field.
Oh, okay.
He tweaked something in pregame and tried to gut it out and was unable. So that they must have already in their head knew that it was an option and that Dunn might have to finish it out. So
I want to give.
There was Go ahead.
No, you're good.
No, I was just saying there was a split second when Harris got hurt. I didn't even think about Weipler being active, because he's been inactive so often that I thought Dunn was going to have to switch over and play center, and he was going to have to figure out guard. I didn't know what was going to happen. So Weipler being active was huge today.
Okay, we're going to look at – I just want to put you some box score stats. I just want to get you some stats, all right? Dorian Thompson-Robinson had that big 5-yard pass. That was a pretty cool play there from Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Was that in the red zone?
First down there. Flacco. Yes.
Yeah. So
it was 4th down.
There was people complaining. That Elijah Moore was holding. I don't care. You know how many holds that Myles Garrett had?
Oh yeah, he was.
I didn't even notice it when I was watching the game. I was getting tattooed, so I'm watching it on my phone. Didn't have the sound on really, so I really can't hear anything. I'm trying to watch it, and I see that I didn't see him hold him. Then I see the picture. I don't care. We win, and that was it. I don't know if I like the DTR coming in on 4th down thing. It worked today, and I'm happy for that. I don't know if I like that all the time. But continue with your stats, Jacob.
You know who had a great game? Alex Wright had a great game. Like, Alex Wright came up with some big plays. He had a sack. He had that massive play on that to force that kick there at the end when he comes up and they fooled him once on the screen or the jet sweep. They tried to run jet sweep at him again. The freak athlete that Alex Wright is jumped on the ball, jumped on him, drove him down to the backfield. It was a heck of a game, I think, out of a very good football player to me in Alex Wright, a guy that's developing and figuring out his role. We're going to bring somebody on here for just a second. We got Nick Carnes checking in. Let's start this. I'll start with Nick. We'll go around. Just biggest takeaway, man. Just biggest takeaway from this game and how you're feeling about it.
I saw Jake Trotter tweet that the Browns have 5 wins with go-ahead scores in the last 2 minutes this year, and that's a franchise record. The amount of times they've been down and battled back and won this season is probably more than I think I've ever seen in all the other years of Browns fandom combined. I can't believe the grit that like there was a tipping point where you felt like, Joel Bitonio goes out, Nick Harris is hobbling off, and it just felt like it was the tipping point, and they just could not protect Joe, and they just keep finding ways, man. I can't speak. It's the feeling of when your team overcomes like the Browns is unlike anything.
Mm-hmm. Over to you, Casey.
For me, like, so there's been some of these games that have come down like this, and I feel like they're going to pull it off. I didn't today. I didn't have that feeling. It felt very improbable what they were doing at the end of that game. It was like, we're really doing this? Like, when Njoku catches that pass to get in field goal range, it's like, of course we're doing this. Like, up until that point, it was like, yeah, we're lucky to be this close. You know what I mean? Because the way it was playing out. But at that point, it's like, yeah, this team just finds ways to win. Everything Nick said's right, man. Like, whatever. I mean, we've had so much bad that we've paid our dues, man. Like, we deserve the good. So, like you said, Eddie, like, I'm okay. We got away with the hold.
Sir.
Whatever. Like, how many times this went the other way. So,
right.
Don't take it for granted, but at the same time, like, we deserve this.
Myles Garrett got like. They horse collared Myles Garrett in this game. So miss me with Elijah Moore holding on that play. I don't give a shit.
So I have a few takeaways from this.
Like,
game. Whenever Jacob's like glitchy. Jacob's like in and out.
Mm-hmm.
You're like in and out. I hear half of what you say and then don't hear the other half.
I think we're okay now.
Is everybody else hearing what I say? Okay.
Yeah, you're like delayed. I don't know. Either way, we see this year more than ever the value of a backup quarterback. And a lot of people are unhappy that, we traded away Josh Dobbs earlier because he had success, and now he's not even the backup in Minnesota anymore. But while it might have been late, they recognized that, hey, we need a backup that's a veteran that can come in here. They went and got almost the ideal one. Flacco's won with a team similar to this before, with a great defense. Offense is just like, we can do something. Sometimes, possibly, maybe. It was just get us in field goal range. And that goes to number 2. The Dustin Hopkins trade is probably the biggest trade of the year and throughout the NFL. He leads the NFL in field goals made this year. I think he has 32 now with his make at the end of the game. And everyone was complaining, you traded for a kicker who just got cut. Well, he got cut because he got beat by someone who they thought was better. And the Chargers are a complete mess. That's a whole other issue. But they went and traded for this guy for nothing, a bag of peanuts. And he's leading the way, and he's kicking all these game-winning field goals. Number 3 is that Coach of the Year is Kevin Stefanski still, because all of these players, I think they said on the broadcast, they went up to 27% of the salary cap is on the IR.
Yeah.
That's insane. That is insane. You're down, you're three right tackles. What else we have? Center.
A left tackle.
Guard.
A left tackle.
Guard.
Left guard.
So that's just
practice squad safeties.
Practice squad safeties.
This team fights, and I cannot wait for the Browns to post a video of Kevin Stefanski talking to this team later, because in years past, people are like, they're not really caring for it. I was like, how do you see that they're not caring when they what do you mean? And now this year more than ever, they keep fighting. And last week we saw the clip of him going, hey, it's time to eat. And Miles was like, all right, I'm going to go end the game for us. And he went and sacked Trevor Lawrence last week. He didn't have the sack of Justin Fields today, which he got. Justin Fields was incredible getting out of that one sack. I don't know how he did that. I mean, Miles was held the whole time with that too, but I don't know how he escaped that. I was like, okay, good for you, good play. But they keep fighting for the coach, and that's big. The culture has shifted. We always thought that was the Jarvis Landry and OBJs of the world coming in here and Baker Mayfield. That was the culture change. No, it wasn't. It was the start of something, but then they realized, hey, that's not working. Nope, this isn't working. Let's do this now. They go out and make all these different moves. They're 9-5. I don't know.
9-5.
9-5. We get to celebrate Victory Monday again for a 9th time already, and there's still 3 games left. There's still 3 football games.
Can I tell you something?
Yes.
When asked about the Hail Mary on the final play, David Njoku said, I damn near shit myself.
Because it was literally in his lap. Like, Adam Schefter tweeted out the replay. Oh, my God. The Browns were so close to losing in the most heartbreaking fashion, and they win. It's cardiac kids fashion. It's like no football I've ever seen the Cleveland Browns play.
All
They've
right,
never
guys.
played it. The kids didn't even have this many comebacks.
Wow.
They got that
Wow.
nickname. Like they didn't have this many in one season. Like that's just where we're at.
Nick, were you
So-
at the game today?
No,
Oh, you.
I wish I was. Oh man, the fans. Hey, they're tied with Dallas for the most home wins in the NFL right now. We'll see how the Bills Cowboys game goes.
It's going. It's going right now, as we speak.
Let's well, they're in Buffalo right now, so it didn't really matter.
Wouldn't
Yeah.
matter. Here we go.
Shows you what I know.
They're in Buffalo. But all right, we've been doing this with the post game shows, and I really enjoy the way we've kind of done these. We get on here and we gush about the win or the victory or the loss, and we talk a little bit about it, and then we kind of go around the horn and we talk about an offensive player and a defensive player that really stood out to you and had maybe they can be an unsung hero, they can be an obvious one. I don't care. We'll start around the horn. We'll start at Eddie and then Casey and then Nick. Let's do offense. A player that stood out to you, had a big impact today. Rather that was an underrated player that kind of flew under the radar, didn't maybe show up in the stat sheet, what it might be. But just we'll start on the offensive side of the ball, and then when we get done with that, we'll go back around on the defensive side of the ball.
There's a few options to go here, but I'm going to stay with David and Joe. You have the shirt on from the Angry Run shirt, homage.com. Check them out. Please do that. But yeah, I'm going with him. He just continues to keep ascending, and Joe Flacco and him are getting this great rapport down, and it just a lot of Browns fans have always thought David Njoku was a top 5 tight end. Now he's entering that. Like he's finally entering that. He's starting to last year, and Corey Kinnaman said that, or Corey said that. Someone said that on Twitter. It started last year, and I forget if it was Corey or Case. Someone, either way, one of you guys tweeted it. But anyway, it started last year, and Browns was like, "Oh yeah." And then this year it starts a little bit and it slows down, and then he's just been on a tear the past couple weeks. He's it for me. And then that play at the end, towards the end of the game, that Flacco floated that ball. He recognized that blitz and just threw it wherever Njoku can get it, because all Njoku would see is green grass. Someone tweeted that out too, and it was just like, boom, and then that was it. That was essentially the ball game. You know, they run a few more times, but it's him for me. He's ascending into that top 5 tier of tight ends in the NFL, and at the exact right time.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that is the story. Is Njoku. Just we've seen the development. We've everything that we've seen. He's the fruition. It's finally coming right now. We're seeing like him reach his best self. But the guy who's always been who he is Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper's that guy day in and day out. That catch, roping up the sideline like that body control, and just that was the spark, you know. That to me, that was the spark. It's like the improbable, and he did it, and then all of a sudden you're back. You are back in it now. Before you were clawing to get in position to get back in it, and then all of a sudden, just right now you're back in it. Big players make big plays, man, and it didn't get any bigger than that in that moment. They had to have it, and someone had to step up. And once again, Mark Cooper was that dude.
Really close to making some really cool Browns history, about 15 yards away from being a back-to-back 1,000-yard receiver, which would be the Browns' first. But for me, it's Marquise Goodwin, man. Like he had some real struggles with the concussion and was out for a while. But I think, you know, we saw Deshaun try to link up with him on a couple of deep passes, and it was close, but it wasn't there. And it was like the Browns were really floundering offensively. They couldn't protect Joe Flacco. They weren't finding a lot of success. And Joe hit that shot to Goodwin right in the breadbasket down the field. And all of a sudden, the offense had life again. All of a sudden, they were back in it. You know, you got a chunk, and you said to yourselves, hey, we can do this thing. And it really felt like that was another piece that was just a spark for the Browns. That kind of gave them that confidence back that they could be in it. So I love seeing that from Goodwin. I think it's a perfect fit with Flacco. There's so many fun things that are developing down the stretch here with Flacco, and just be back-to-back 300-yard games, man.
One thing that's interesting, I just saw this stat, one more win, and Kevin Stefanski ties Bill Belichick for wins as a Browns head coach. So that's where I want to go, man. I want to go with Kevin Stefanski. You know, I maybe that's cheating going with Kevin Stefanski, but I just read this tweet that I retweeted. But that I think really matters. Jared Mueller, I think, put it out, and he goes, I don't know how to put into words how shocking it is this team with all the injuries and inconsistent quarterback play this year. They're 9-5 with a 92% chance to make the playoffs with 3 weeks left. The first 2 words are simple: Kevin Stefanski. Then it's heart, will, and effort. And
Wow.
this team just does not quit in any way, shape, or form. Like there's no quit in them. Listen, after they get that touchdown to make it 17-17 and they get a massive tackle for loss on the first play of the next drive, I looked at Casey, we were live streaming, and I said, the momentum's changing. The tide is changing. The defense smells blood in the water. The defense knows if they get a stop here, they're probably going to go win this game. And guess what? They did. And obviously they made a couple of blunders on that final drive, and they really, really made you almost poop yourself the way it kind of on that final drive. But like, there's no quit. And Joe Flacco looked as bad as a Browns quarterback has looked at points in this game. He looked as bad as we've seen other guys play in this game. And yet he throws an absolute anticipation route C to Amari Cooper, like you talked about. And he gets this massive drive. And then, like you said, when he floats it up to Njoku because no one's around there, he's like, I know I can throw a punt to Njoku right here. There's no one there. And Njoku watches it, tracks it, adjusts, gets the play, sets it up, gets the first down. And then all of a sudden you're able to run it all the way down to 30 seconds. And D-Hop is D-Hop. And he goes out there. 3-Hop goes out there and he nails it again. All-time franchise leader in made field goals, Dustin Hopkins, I should say.
Wow.
And all-time leader in 50-yard field goals, too. I know that wasn't a 50. It was a 34. I don't give a shit what it was. Cade York would have missed it. And so I just wanted to make that clear. Just props to Kevin Stefanski, the coaching staff on the offensive side of the ball. That's my offensive standout. It's just the way he coached and the way they were able to overcome the adversity that they faced today. So let's go reverse. We'll start with Nick and then Casey and Eddie and come back to myself. Defensive player that really stood out today and had a lot to do with the win.
Yeah, I think I said this last week, but I want to say it again. It's Cam Mitchell for me, man. He shoelace string tackled Justin Fields on that 4th down that it looked like could have gone for a lot more, gets just enough of it. They turn the ball over, and all of a sudden the Browns get going again with better field position. That's a rookie that's making some really key plays. He was in on the final breakup last week, and there he is on 4th down this week. That's impact right there. I love seeing that from him. Another exciting young corner in that Browns secondary.
Well, Jacob cheated, so he's opened the floodgates. Give me the undrafted safeties.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you got one's a practice squad guy, one's just undrafted, but I'm telling you right now, those dudes are just big boy ball right there because it's a scary proposition, man. You are the back end of the defense. You're 2 undrafted guys. You did not plan that. You were not in the game plan when the season started. You know what I mean? You had bona fide starters. And just due to injury and the way things have played out, you guys both found yourself on the field. And at no point today did we look that was a weak spot for the defense. You know what I mean? So it's you got to give it up to him, man. The stripes they're earning right now will pay dividends down the line because you're going to get some of your guys back. You're going to get Juan Thornhill back, and then you're going to go back to being a rotational. But these reps you're getting right here are going to matter when it comes crunch time in a big game. You know, so shout out. They both made big plays at different times. And Anthony Bell ending up with that ball at the very end of the game, ricocheting off several players, including Darnell Mooney's chest, hands, and lap before he kicked it back up in the air. You know, to come down with it, that's got to feel good for him. So shout out to the hitman, Anthony Bell, and Ronnie Hickman.
Also, shout out to him for once he knew he was out of the end zone, just going right down because the game's over.
Yep.
Nothing else. Just go right down. No one can do anything. So shout out to that. I'm glad you mentioned the safeties because that was, and I'm going to go with someone that I feel I talk about every week in this match because he leads the team every single week in tackles and tackles for losses, and that's Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who Mark Sanchez still can't pronounce his name correctly. I don't understand it. You're a professional broadcaster.
Wow. No, what about professional?
He's called that, I should say.
Yes.
But either way, JOK has been sensational all year. Flies all over. Wherever the ball is, expect him there. He had 6 tackles all solo, and then 2 were for loss, 2 pass deflections, a sack, and an interception on the Hail Mary at the end of the half, which that was stupid of the Bears, by the way. They should have just kicked the field goal or attempted the field goal. But either way, we'll take that. But JOK has been amazing this year. He is having a Pro Bowl and an All-Pro-like season. I don't know if he'll get the All-Pro, but he should make the Pro Bowl for sure. Not that matters anymore, but it's still a cool accolade. Like, oh, he's a Pro Bowler. And he's playing lights out. Wherever the ball is, JOK is. And the fact that Jim Schwartz is able to mix him all around the field because of his versatility and his athleticism, that is so great. And I was worried coming into this without Delpit losing him last week. I was like, oh, is this going to impact JOK? Nope. JOK is like, I'm going to do my thing still. Someone else come do it with me. And there's a bevy of guys that made a bunch of plays on defense today. And so he's it for me, JOK.
First off, there's only one quarterback this year in the NFL to throw for 200 yards in the fourth quarter, and that's Joe Flacco, just so we're clear. Okay. 212 passing yards there in that final quarter is outrageous. We're looking to that, of course, Nick had to jump out. He was his battery died. That's why he jumped off on us there. 92% right now. That's what the Football Power Index has the Browns' chances of making the postseason at 90. Yeah, you go on the road. You face a Houston team that came up with a huge overtime victory today. They pulled out the win last second with our boy Case Keenum at quarterback. The Jets got eliminated from the postseason today. That just happened. The Jets just got eliminated. They lost 30-0. And
it's because of us and the Texans.
Man, you got to talk about Myles Garrett. He continues to not have a sack for quite some time now, 4 or 5 games, whatever it's been, that he hasn't had a sack. But he was getting clotheslines. They ripped him down by his face mask. They horse-collared him, and yet pressure, tackles for loss, pushes somebody into someone else's lap. But it's not Myles. I want to talk about another player. I just forgot about him. So I was going to say Myles Garrett, but then I remembered Dalvin Tomlinson today was a menace.
Yeah.
There's been 2 games this year because he had one earlier in this year. But today, Dalvin Tomlinson, especially in that first half, rushing the passer, tackling the running backs in the run game. Dalvin Tomlinson took over this game, especially early. They were putting a tight end and a running back to chip Myles Garrett with the tackle. And Dalvin Tomlinson's like, oh, you have 3 guys over there? That's fine with me. I will wreak havoc on you all day long. Everybody wanted to crap all down their legs for the amount of money the Browns paid him. That he's not a 3rd down. He's not a multi-dimensional defensive tackle. My fucking ass, he isn't. Dalvin Tomlinson went out there. He was worth every damn penny the Browns gave him. And today, without him, they don't win this football game in my mind because he did a lot of big plays from Dalvin Tomlinson. So that's where I go there. So, gentlemen, as we wrap this thing up, I know we all have to go. We have other things we got to do. Final thoughts. I'll start with you, Eddie, and we'll go to you, Casey, and come back to me. Final thoughts on this game before we kind of sign off for a little bit and digest it.
So just seeing how they came back and won this is a Bears team that they're a little bit better than the record shows. They started to play a little bit better over the past few weeks. And a lot of people were saying that maybe the coach should be gone. I don't think so. I think today showed that he can coach this team. And that was a weird game. It was a sloppy weather game. I think that had a lot to do with the struggles early on. And then I don't know how much it was raining. I couldn't tell if it was raining or how much it was. Maybe that contributed to Flacco in the 4th, being so good. But to me, it's just there's never a game where this team is out of it outside of, when they're getting, boat race from the get-go. But there's only been a couple times this year that's happened. So they're in every single game. And that just gives me hope for the rest of the season. So it's, the Texans, the Jets, Bengals. That's the order that we go in, right? Those are all 3 winnable games. We thought going into this, if they went 2-2 or better, 3-1 ideally, and 4-0 obviously the best. Now they can go one of those things. They can go 4-0 potentially and maybe sneak in and win that AFC North. So the hope and the fire that this team has, despite everything that's happened to them, 15 guys on IR or something like that, 14, 15 guys on IR, and maybe more to come after this game. We'll see after, tests and everything. And they still just find ways to win. This defense just isn't giving up, although at the end they almost gave that game away. but there's no reason to not believe in this team moving forward. And if they get in the playoffs, that's a perfect style of playoff football. Defense holds the score low, and if the offense can score just enough and move on, that's it. Now, I'm not trying to get all the way into the playoffs right now, but that's just where the mentality goes. After a big win like this, it's hard not to feel confident. Not saying that we're world beaters, because every game we're going to be in the next 3 weeks is going to be tough. They're all very winnable for us, but they're going to be tough. So that gets them also ready for a playoff-like atmosphere. We saw it last week with the Jaguars. We saw it this week a little bit with the Bears. You wouldn't think that. So that's a good sign. Shout out Kevin Stefanski, Coach of the Year.
Okay, well, I said this in the pregame, and it just rings truer now, and I'll keep it short. The 2023 Cleveland Browns continue to overcome adversity for breakfast. I mean, I don't give a shit what it is. Is it injuries? Decimated, just ridiculous amounts of injuries. Overcome it. Shooting yourself in the foot, self-inflicted wounds. Overcame it. And that's like, for me, that's like the main characteristic of this team is they just overcome adversity. They do not quit. They're all in, they're bought in, and you're going to have to deal with them for 60 minutes. You can beat them for 54 minutes, but if you don't put in that extra 6, they'll pass you up at the finish line. And that's being decimated, still being able to do that. So that's something that's just ingrained in them, and it starts with the coaches, and it echoes throughout the locker room, and 100% buy-in, and they're a dangerous team just because of that.
Final thought for me. Where's everybody that told me that game was over? What they doing now?
Hi, Mikey.
What they doing now?
No, but there were a lot on Twitter. There was a lot of people on Twitter saying, "Oh, this is over. All the season's over now. Can't overcome all these injuries. Can't do this. Can't do that. Blah blah blah." Jacob, what was the end result? What was the score?
It was 2017, and the Browns won. Done.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Done.
Yeah.
Stop saying what this team can't do. They can't come back. They can't win with their fourth quarterback, because right now they can. Yeah, they're not perfect. They're not 14-0, but there was a point in this game where it was 17-7 and their offense wasn't doing dick. And it was it felt very bleak. And I get the people that was it's off, but I'm just the way they've done this all year, they're just not out of it unless it's 30-0. If it's 30-0, they're probably out of it. But if it is a 2-score game with more than 7 or 8 minutes on the clock, I don't think they're out of it. As long as they're within 2 scores with enough time to make 2 drives and a stop, I don't think they're out of it. And it's just, that is where they're at this year, and that is where they're going to continue to be until the end of the year. So the Browns go out, they get you another victory. Subscribe to the YouTube, give us a thumbs up. We'll be back all week long with all kinds of awesome shows. And go check them out. I'm spent. I'm going to go celebrate, have some dinner. We appreciate you all. Thank you so much for giving some of your time to us yet again today. We will see you again later this week, talking more Browns football with a 92% chance of making the playoffs. 9 wins in the books, winning season. We love you guys so much. We'll talk to you guys again next time. Go Browns.
Go Browns.
Enjoy your victory Monday.